Hey guys, this is Sharat with ReSimpli, bringing you a very special investor, Michael McDonald, on this call. Michael has been with ReSimpli for a long time, but then took a break for some reason and then came back. So I'm very happy to have him back. Michael, welcome to ReSimpli. How are you?
Hey Shrad, it's awesome, man. Pleasure to be here. And yeah, I wish I didn't have to say that I was coming back because I
That's
I regret leaving in the first place. So
that
happy to share that
that's
experience.
okay. You don't appreciate the value of something until you like step away from it. You're like, oh man, I didn't try. It happens all the time. I tell you, like, just it happens all the time. And sometimes when an investor leaves, we're like, oh, we are 100% sure this investor is coming back. So yeah. I mean, Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where do you live? What market do you invest in? And what kind of investing do you do?
For sure. So I'm in Vegas and I've been out here for about 5 years now. Moved here from Nebraska. We do wholesale, fix and flip, have a portfolio of a few, what is it? I don't know, 27, 28 units now. That's a little bit about my business. As far as me personally, I am married, have three kiddos, and man, just loving the young days of the kids. Having a
Right?
lot of fun. I've got an 8-month-old at home, and so we're just yeah, we're just learning how to do all the things. And so it's been
Man.
a fun journey while maintaining a business. So it's a lot to juggle, but it's been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, congratulations, man. I have a 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. Like they grow up so fast, so fast. Like in this
Yeah.
day and age, you can like look at your smartphone and every day I feel like it shows me something. Oh, this is your son or your daughter like 3, 4 years ago. And like, oh, you look at those pictures, like, oh man, how fast they grow up. So congratulations. You said you moved from Nebraska to Vegas 5 years ago. Did you move for like investing purpose or was it some other reason and then started investing in Vegas?
Yeah, good question. So it was not for investing. In fact, I just started my business while I was in Nebraska, and my wife wanted to visit here for her 21st. I mean, I was 20, I think I was 25 at the time we moved, but excuse me, 24. And she had her sister living out here, and she said, "Hey, I'd love to go check it out. My sister loves it. Let's go see what it's all about." So we moved out here for her and to be closer to family. And then at that point in time, I realized that I need to learn how to continue running my operation in Nebraska while I'm living out here virtually. So um, if I'm not mistaken, you also have kind of a similar dynamic where you
I
live on the
do.
West Coast, you have the
Right.
operation in the Midwest as well. So,
Yep.
so yeah, we figured out how to do everything virtually. I've got a team right now. It's ever changing. I have an operator who runs majority of everything as far as flips and stuff go, and transaction, three acquisitions, a couple lead managers, and somebody who helps out with marketing as well.
Awesome. And what's the size of the business? You said about 8 to 10 people on your team. How many, like, what's your revenue or how many deals are you doing on average per month or per year?
Yeah, so anywhere from 8 to 10 people on payroll, so W-2, and then we will do anywhere from like 80 to 100 pretty consistently for the last 3 or 4 years. I think we're on pace to do just over 2 million in revenue this year,
Nice.
and kind of had I'm not gonna lie, we've kind of had a hard time breaking that $2 million mark. We've passed it in 2022 when the market was really forgiving.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's just been kind of a challenge to get past that, but ever evolving business model. We do a lot of flipping right now, but would like to get more towards some more wholesale.
Yeah. I'll
Definitely
I'll
about,
make a connection with someone who just like you spent a long time recently user, left for a few months to try out Podio, came back and he scaled his business pretty nicely, he's doing like about 30, 35 deals a month. So I'll make that connection.
yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great. I'd
Yeah.
love that.
And what are some of the marketing channels you're using in your business?
Yeah, so TV has been a pretty big one. We do a lot of inbound, really ramping up PPC. So we're going to be spending, we average like 10 to 15,000 a month, but we're going to be increasing that to about 22,000 a month on PPC. And
Nice.
that's going to be across multiple markets. So it's not just the one. Um, Tested out some radio this year, and then direct mail has been tried and true for us as well.
And how long have you been using REsimpli for?
So, gosh, I think it's funny because you said Podio. I started off on Podio, which is why when we thought about making the transition, I had invested some money in developers and stuff like that. And when I found REsimpli, I'm like, this is it. It has everything from the KPIs to the phone system, everything together. And it was like, this was awesome, right? So we started on that. I want to say it was 2020. Shortly after we moved to Las Vegas, I think we switched over. And then we were on that ever since probably the beginning of this year. And we talked about this, but we switched to Salesforce actually, thinking that we'd get a better phone system, thinking that things would be more automated. We gave it 6 months, and it was like not that. It was headache and not fun. So I'm excited to say that we're back to REsimpli, and honestly, I can never see ourselves moving things over just because like the transition is never fun when you have a pipeline built up, but also just the fact of what I love about what you guys have done, Sherrod, is the feedback you get from users who are doing 30 plus deals a month, right? So there's really no excuse. I thought, based on some advice that I was given, that I needed, and in order to break that ceiling of $3 million, which is what my target was, I would need to go to a different system because this wasn't going to accommodate for the follow-ups and stuff like that. But as we've watched you develop, it just became so much more obvious that that's the furthest thing from the truth, because you're continuing to get that feedback, you're continuing to adapt. And it's been really cool to even be gone for 6 months and to come back and see what you've done is pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, that's what we hear from some investors, where they feel like break a certain ceiling that they need to be on a different platform, for name, or it may be like their coach said that or whatnot. And they're like, that's totally fine if you want to do that. But we have investors doing much, very, very high volume using the exact same system that you have. And it's not been an issue for them. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. What were some of the challenges or pain points that you faced with Salesforce?
Well, everybody, I mean, always kind of talked about how great this, and this is not even a Salesforce thing. It was more of a phone system thing. It's a smartphone is what we integrated with. And
Right.
it was just like there was always issues. So that was a huge challenge. And when I gave the feedback to Salesforce, that's what I said as well. I'm like, hey, the other one was anytime we needed to make a modification to anything. And I'll give you a great example. Like we both know who Paul is, right? Who does the drip campaigns. Shout out to Paul. He helped us install drip campaigns, and we had to go get a developer just to get those installed, versus with REsimpli, like obviously it's just super easy. Like anybody can figure it out. You don't have to be a developer. So those were a couple things, and then just ongoing tweaks that we didn't know how to do just because of the complexity of it. And then a huge one I think is going to just be the clarity. So one thing that I like about REsimpli is the open leads. So like with that other system, we had people falling through the cracks left and right because we couldn't see when they would call in or text back, and it was just not as transparent, honestly.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And especially the update that we made over the weekend with those like smart filters, that's going to make so simple to like follow up, like just create those lists, dial them, and just take those actions. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Now, I mean, that's something we take a lot of pride in, is like connecting with active investors like yourself. I know you and I were connecting back in April when you were still kind of in the transition of switching to Salesforce. And then I showed you, hey, this is kind of the stuff that we have coming. And then some of the stuff we went live with over the weekend with Gmail integration and like smart filters. Just it, in my opinion, makes it super simple just to be able to log into one system and not having to like go in this system or that system. And then the important thing is like real estate investors get to focus on their revenue generating activity, which is closing deals, and not having to worry about, and let's go hire a developer because we want to make this tweak, because it's a never ending cycle. Like before you know it, like, oh, I need this. Okay, I got to go hire another developer. Before you know it, like you start getting distracted by all these like dev projects. And that's not what a CRM should make you do. Like the CRM should be this complete out of the gate that you go in, start using it. And if you have to keep tweaking it, in our opinion, then the CRM didn't do a good job. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. What's been your experience with our customer support and resources available to be up and running and like, getting familiar with the features and functionality that we have?
It's the best because you have somebody who's on like standby at all times. Anything you need, you can, you have many different options. Message them, call, I think for the advanced users, email, anything no matter what channel, there's always an immediate response, which I love. And then one thing that I really, really love is when you have a team of, 8 to 10 people, you just say, hey, message support, or check the help article, and there's probably a solution for you right there versus this is a dead end of, oh, let me hire a developer and
Right.
go implement this change, and it's going to take 2 weeks to get back to you type of a deal versus the support with you guys is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And how would you say any specific like outcomes or tangible benefits that you've noticed since you switched back to REsimpli? You've been to the dark side and now you came to the right side. What are some of the like the tangible benefits? Like because you have a very interesting perspective of like comparing two platforms.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, gosh, and there's so many things. The first thing that I love is that when you have, because we do a good amount of virtual stuff. So, hey, Mr. Seller, can you send us some pictures? Okay, let me text you all these pictures. How are we going to get those onto a drive or a link in the other system? It wasn't going to happen unless you spent 10 minutes going through it. Now with REsimpli, they come into a folder and it links automatically. That's awesome. What else? The clarification of where properties are at in the queue based on the stages, it makes it really easy to see. And then one thing that I really missed was the KPIs. So I had a hard time tracking KPIs with this other system, but as long as you can enter in the basics and you have a number associated with your marketing campaigns with REsimpli, you have full clarity of
Yeah.
what's working, what's your ROI, how much is your cost per deal, etc. So those are a few things that I'm most excited about right now.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Which
Yeah.
features of REsimpli do you find the most valuable in your business?
I mean, I got to say live transfer. That was one of the things that we were kind of caught up on before is we were missing opportunities. So we'd get somebody on the phone, whether it be a lead manager, they would let them off the phone. Our sales guy would call them back, and then they would never be able to get a hold of them
Right.
because they sold to somebody else. So we were actually losing deals because of that. So the fact that we can get that person who's on the horn with our lead manager directly transferred and introduced in real time, um, I mean, that right there is going to be a huge opportunity.
Especially with PPC. I don't know if you guys are already utilizing speed to lead feature, but that's so good. Like I've heard from so many investors with inbound marketing like PPC, PPL, like they're able to get in touch with the lead within 30 seconds of them filling the form. It's just like a total game changer how quickly you can get in touch with the leads also. What are your future goals? And then how do you see REsimpli playing a role in achieving them?
Yeah, so I think it's just becoming more efficient with the opportunities that we have. Ultimately, for me, one thing that I've learned through having some really great years as far as profitability and then having some years that haven't been so great is that it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep.
Oh,
And
100%.
when you can see with absolute clarity the net bottom line in a system like REsimpli, that's what it's all about. So my goal is to be more like 30 to 40% of like a net operating income with the operation that we're running. And then as far as like long-term wealth, just continue to build the portfolio. I want to get to doing like a more of an owner finance, like lease option model. So I've picked up a handful of properties this year, turned around and lease optioned them, and they're amazing cash flow. So for me, it's just to get to like 120 of those and just build legacy wealth for my family.
Cool. Awesome, man. All right. Final two question. Is there anything particular about REsimpli that you think sets it apart from other software you've used?
I mean, it's super obvious at this point. It's the innovation. It's the continuous improvement of the system. One thing that I think a lot of people would have been concerned about before they start to see the proof is that this is it. This is the end. This is all we're gonna get, right? But that's the furthest thing from the truth that I've watched happen is it's always continued to innovate, and you've added AI, you've added different things that just keeping up with the times, really.
All right. Thank you, man. Final question. What would you say to someone who is considering REsimpli for their real estate business?
What are you even waiting for? If you're not using REsimpli, what are you doing? Like if
I
you're,
love that.
yeah, for sure. If you're trying to like build a legitimate business that can run without you and without having to go, try to figure it all out. Like this is a turnkey system for that.
Awesome. Michael, thank you so much. Anyone listening to this wants to connect with you, learn more about your journey. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, you can shoot me a message on Instagram. It's Michael McDonald REI. And I also have a website you can check out. It's thevirtualmillionaires.com. Got some free resources and stuff like that on there as well.
Perfect. We'll put a link to that in the call. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for coming back to REsimpli, and thank you for sharing your journey. Appreciate it.